alaikum everyone. Taqabbal Allah a'malukum insha'Allah. I hope everyone had a blessed night of Qadr. So when Sabra and I were marking our calendars and planning this course, I remember how excited she was. She said, well, our last session is going to be either the night preceding the birthday of the Quran or right after that. So alhamdulillah, we're glad that we're able to get together for a Quranic study during these special days of the Quran, inshallah. So last week, we did visual representations. In the beginning, when we started, we set a tone by getting acquainted to our Quran. I hope all of you can hear me. Okay. One second. So someone asked an interesting question last week, that how are these sessions connected? So just to give a very quick recap, when we first started, we tried to establish a connection with our own personal Quran. So we tried to make our Qurans appealing and something that we want to be able to refer to and go to. So we say that when it's nice and colorful and it's easy to navigate through the Quran, so we put tabs by surah names. I know popularly people prefer doing that. And that set a tone. So now when we're looking for a surah in the Quran, like even if we don't know the number that corresponds to the surah name, at least there's a picture that is coming up and we're able to connect with it. Then we moved on to creating visual representations within our Quran. And today we're in the final phase of Quran journaling outside of the Quran. So we're taking everything that we have learned. So we covered like tools on how to cross-reference, and then we did tools on how to look for a hadith that correspond to the verses of the Quran. And today we're going to take everything that we have shared so far and see how we can bring it together when we do a personal journaling with the Quran. So I will pass it on to Sabra to tell us what is on the agenda today, inshallah.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, everyone. So quickly, very quickly,
actually, this was not planned.
I know, I noticed. Our agenda for today, we're going to do this something similar to last week, where we have a verse that we've chosen to study for today, and we're going to discuss that in some detail. And then we're going to start making connections to that verse. What else can we pull out from that verse? Where else does it connect to? What else? What other themes? What other things can we think of that it connects to? So just some reflection on that. And then today we're going to introduce to you some tools to study root words. So in Arabic, most words come down to a 3-letter root word. And we're going to show you a tool to help deepen your understanding of some of the words. And then we just have a sample video of Quran journaling. And then we're going to move into our practical exercise for the day, which is going to be a practical journaling session. So we'll get started with the verse study with Najma. Back to you.
Inshallah. Okay. So I kind of gave it away in the picture here on the agenda that we're going to be picking a very common, simple, yet very rich verse of the Quran that everyone is familiar with to go through today. So Sabra was saying we cannot go wrong with this verse. Thank you, Sabra, for that wonderful suggestion. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Right? Surah Fatiha. I know there were some questions that had come up as to where to begin. So definitely everyone can choose what they want to, but Surah Fatiha is the opening, right? So if this is what we choose to begin our journey in journaling, then definitely a great place to start, right? So a little bit of an overview of this verse. So we read it all the time. And I remember I was talking to a scholar once, and she mentioned to me, she's like, you will need a full year, if not more, to just go through Surah Fatiha. That's how rich it is, right? Sometimes it's something that we keep reciting, and we almost become immune to it, but the messages in it are just so deep and amazing, mashallah. So notice that in the beginning, Allah is setting a tone by introducing some of his names, right? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, he's Rahman, he's Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, so he's the Lord of the universe. Maliki Yawmiddin, like all these like majestic introduction of his being. And then this statement comes in verse number 5 that Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You alone. Like, doesn't say that your Lord, our Lord do we worship, and our Creator do we turn to for help, right? Seeking help. Iyaka, simple. There is this personal, a very personable way of connecting with Allah. He's making us so comfortable to communicate with Him. And that is something, again, that we went through last night. I mean, apart from the fact that for those who prayed the 100 rakat namaz, repeated this statement numerous times, right? But even practically when we set to do istighfar, and when we sought our needs and we talked to Him about it, there was this intimate conversation that took place between Allah and His servants. Notice also that it says na'budu. So there is this aspect of this communal aspect, right? That when we are communicating with Allah, there's this sense of humility. I'm not the only one who is communicating with you. We all, like all of your creation, the believers, we worship you and we turn to you for help. So it also reminds us to include others when we are praying and we're seeking help. We're seeking out, and especially what better than a time like this? I mean, imagine Sabra and I were just talking that one of the blessings of the current situation that we're in has actually brought us all together. Like, who would have thought that we would be sitting here in the month of Ramadan, from people from all across the globe doing like this Quranic creative Quran journey together, right? So a lot of good comes out of it when we are doing it together. And this form of studying, it's also a type of worship, inshallah. Okay? The word used for turning for help, seeking help, is nasta'in. It's the term that's used in the Quran. Again, just to go back to the iyaka, there are numerous places in the Quran where Allah brings about this type of a concept where we are communicating with Him. Like one of the verses that I was going through from Surah Hadith, it's verse number 4 of Surah Hadith, where Allah talks about how He creates. He has created the heaven and the earth in 6 days, and then He knows, He's aware of everything that's inside it and everything that goes, ascends and descends. And then there's a very powerful statement in that verse, and it's a very nice phrase to memorize. Again, a nice verse to journal, if we were to cross-reference even through this verse, or just create our own journaling on that. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He says, and He is, and notice the word huwa is used. It doesn't say that وَرَبُّكُمْ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, right? Like your Lord is with you wherever you are, or خَالِقُكُمْ, like your Creator is with you. No, وَهُوَ, simple. He is with you wherever you are. It's very hope-giving. It's very powerful. It really gives us a lot of strength, that really we can seek help from Him. We can turn to Him wherever we are, no matter what the situation. We're able to turn to Him because He is with us wherever we are, right? So I've put like a few questions here that let us compare the translations for the word nasta'in. So again, the translation that I have put up is from Ali-544, that nasta'in, do we turn for help? So you're welcome. And one of the things that we're going to, I'm not giving away, Sabra, what you're going to do, but one of the things we're going to try to do is we're going to do a study together to create our masterpiece for today, inshallah. So one of the tools that we use is comparing translations, because sometimes there might be a translation that that might not explain it very well for you personally, right? So you turn to look at another translation. So again, another tool of studying the Quran is comparing translations. So if you want to type up, if you're using another Quran and you want to share with us what the term nasta'in comes up as in your translation, feel free to share with us, please. Sabra, is anything coming up on the chat?
No, there is another question that's there. Why does Allah address himself as Huwa?
Okay. If I were to reflect on this term, it's the same thing like I said, right? He's creating a personal relationship, like he is, and it's almost like he's talking about himself, but yet he does not need to he does not need to exemplify and like, you know, he does not need to introduce himself through his names at that particular point in the Quran. That would again be my understanding. Huwa, he. Yeah, okay. Where am I getting my translation from? So I'm using Ali-544, right? This one here. If nobody's sharing any other translation, or maybe other translations have very similar terms, what other Quranic words come to mind for help? Okay, we ask for help, right? Instead of turning for help, we ask for help. Turning, I feel like, okay, Quran Hive is your source. Thank you for sharing your source as well. Yes, definitely, it's a great app. When I look at like the translation as do we turn for help, it's no matter what situation we are in, we're always returning to Allah, right? Like we're turning back to our Creator. We beseech for help. Yes, it's a form of a supplication. This statement here is almost like a supplication, right? We seek for help. Yes, thank you. Okay, so what other Quranic words come to mind for help? Thine aid we seek. What translation is that, Fatima? So thine aid, it's like your aid we seek. Right? Yusuf Ali, okay. Thank you. So what other Quranic words come to mind for help? Is there any other term? If you remember when we started in the beginning and we did some cross-reference verses, we had come up with this term. So
if you've done your surah tabbing, in fact, one of the tabs on the surah, yeah, there we go.
Right. Lovely. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so Muhammad Raza, you're saying the story of Prophet Yunus. Great. So Allah is again, yes, in the form of dua, Prophet Yunus did seek Allah's help. We request help against the disbelievers. Yes, so sometimes in the Quran, we are asking Allah to help us, to give us almost like a respite, or refuge. We seek refuge against the disbelievers. Okay. Najjini. Yes, thank you, Ali Abbas. Yes, we Rabbi Najjini min al-qawm al-zalimin. Okay, and devils. Yes, Zainab, you're saying that too. We seek help against the devils. Great. Okay. And the last question on that one is, where else in the Quran have you seen the derivative for the word nasta'in? You know, Sabra will go over like word breakdowns and root words. But sometimes we look at a word in the Quran and it reminds us of a similar word that is used commonly in maybe one of the common verses elsewhere in the Quran. So anything comes to mind when you think of the word nasta'in? Excellent, yes. Wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah, right? Baqarah 153. Also, Baqarah 44 or 45, I believe it's 45. Again, it says, wasta'inu bis-sabri was-salah wa innaha lakabiratun illa 'alal khashi'in. Yeah. So, and then in 153 is when he talks about seeking help from. Great, thank you. So Surah Nisa, verse 173. Surah Anbiya 112. Great. So great answers coming in of the word. It could be the word nasta'in. It could be ista'an, ista'inu, basically in the same root. Okay. So now that we've thank you for putting that up nicely in Arabic for us, Muhammad Raza. Musta'an, yes. Okay. Now that I've given a little bit of highlight of that, I will pass it on to Sabra to tell us a little bit more about this whole tool of searching.
Okay. So we're actually going to use one of the tools today. Some of you might be familiar with it already. And for those of you that haven't, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, no, I'm going to stop share so you can share your screen, Sabra.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the tool I'm going to show you today, I lost my screen. Okay, I'm just sharing my screen, is what was just mentioned, Quran Hive. Quran Hive, it actually has a version that you can use on your desktop, and it's also an app. So if you want to try it out alongside, go ahead. So it's quranhive.com, and we're going to take a look at this word of nasta'in, and take a look at its root word. So sometimes when you're looking up the translation of a verse, it's helpful to look up different translations because you get an idea of the meaning of it using different English words, so you can help wrap your mind around it. But sometimes what you can do is you can actually go directly looking up the root word, and that's going to bring you some depth into the meaning of that word in a different way. So it's a different way to do this. So I'm going to click on Surah Fatiha over here. Okay, bring it down to our verse. Okay, let's move this over. And look for the word here, nasta'in. When I have my cursor, my mouse over the word nasta'in, there's a little icon on the side, a little eye. And if I click on that, I'm going to get the root word. So the root word is, like I mentioned before, it's a three-letter, it's 3 letters that's used to create lots of different Arabic words and different conjugations and different forms. So our particular word is using ayn, waw, and noon. Okay, and if I look under verb 10 here, this is going to give me a deeper understanding of what this word means. And many of you brought them up by telling us the different translations, because you're all using different translations. But if you're just one person studying your Quran, this is nice to be able to do that, to look up the word this way. So ista'ana, verb 10 is to implore for help, to seek aid, turn and call for assistance. So when we first read the translation, it just said to, let me turn back to it. Our translation said, "You alone do we worship, and you alone do we turn for help." But I don't know if you can start to see how it deepens your understanding of what this word actually means when you start to see the different ways it can be translated. Because Arabic, it's very hard to translate one Arabic word to one English word and to gain the whole depth of that. Because Arabic is such a rich language, we need lots of words to help describe what one word means. So to implore for help, you're really coming in and seeking for that help, turning to Allah. And the reason why we asked you what other words in the Quran remind you of the word help, we want to show you how this is different. There's different words. In English, we just use the word help, and then we start to add things onto it: seek help, implore for help. But in Arabic, it's like completely different words that are used to help convey different messages. So if we went back to Quran Hive, and I changed the surah going down to Surah Nasr. And I can do the same thing by highlighting over the word Nasr, and it's going to give me that little eye. Whoops. It's a little tricky to click sometimes. It's not letting me click it. I've got to be a little quick. Okay, there we go. So see the root letters for this word are Nun, Sad, Ra, to assist or aid, succor or protect. So slightly different. You get a different idea of what these different words mean. So there are lots of other different apps to use, and you can experiment. This is one that we have found has been quite nice. I meant to show you something else. I'm going to take it back to Surah Fatiha. When you're in this screen of the word definition, there's other things to explore here. So you can click on view details. It's going to give you the other ways this word can be conjugated and changed. It's going to give you references to other places in the Quran. I think you guys mentioned a couple of these. Surah Baqarah 45, Surah Baqarah 153, just what we were just talking about, exactly, 21, 112. You're getting the answers right here of other places in the Quran where this word is being used. And then there's other things for you to explore. You can check out this occurrence chart. It shows up 11 times in the Quran. It just helps you start to get to know what else is there in a very simple and easy way. We're using technology to help us deepen our understanding. I'm going to come back and see. While I'm showing this, I can't see if there's any questions. Are there any questions coming in, Najma? Is this clear?
There was one question that, sorry, I joined late. Is Quran Hive a Shia site?
I don't believe that it is, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I mean, I was just looking up, and they're just saying that there are a group of a few Quran enthusiasts, and they're using different tools. So they are crediting Tanzil.net, Tanzil, which I believe is Shia site. I'm not 100% sure. I think so. So they're using their downloadable Quran, and then they're using different other Quranic tools to bring together their app or their tool. But again, for searching up root words, because it's really the Arabic root word. I was talking to my teacher, and she was saying it's not necessary for you to have like a Shia source necessarily when you're searching up a root word, right? So you found the root word, you will have the occurrences, for example, and then once you have the occurrences, you can always divert back to your Shia translation to look at the translation. But at least it's taking you through the journey of finding out the information that you're looking for. Okay, Mahek says that she uses Quran al-Karim as her online source. Thank you for sharing that, Mahek, and you're using that to search up your translations, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so Sabra, should I go back to sharing the screen the other tool that you're going to, inshallah, tell them about?
Yes, please share the screen so I can remind myself what's next. Okay. Yeah, so there's a new website that's come up by Nazmina Danji. And she's been going through root words one per day in the month of Ramadan. And we thought we'd introduce this to you guys since we're talking about root words today. So you can go and check this out. She's got a short clip that she puts up each day on one word, and she goes through its translation, its root word. It's a really short clip. It's about a minute or two long. And again, it's going to help you start to understand how rich the Arabic language is and how much depth there is to even one word, to the meaning of one word. So we just wanted to point that out for anybody who's interested.
Thank you, Sabra. I think she has some other Quranic or Arabic, whatever courses that will be coming up.
Yes.
This was almost like just a glimpse in the month of Ramadan that was happening. And then if you visit this website, there's going to be more information about upcoming courses. And again, this is a Shiite source from someone who is excellent in Arabic skills and in the Quranic study. Inshallah. Okay. Another thing that we wanted to share with you, and many of you may already have come across it, is the Quranic snapshot that Islam from the start has been doing. And they're really nice clips, and we will show you, we will play one clip for you, a quick one, it's like about 3 minutes long. So they were taking their inspiration from Ali's Quranic reflections. So the Academy has been working on these Quranic reflections. Some of you may have already come across them. We're currently at book 3. So each of the books have like brief insights into Quranic verses on different topics. And it's interesting, it's done, there's 30 verses in each book. So it was done with the intention of ease in the month of Ramadan to be able to ponder over a verse a day, right? It's very nicely done. Each, like I said, each book has a particular theme. So I have a picture put up for book 1, which is about human relations with the divine. That was the first one. The second one is about brief insights into Quranic verses on qualities for personal development, right? Something that we always are seeking to try and work on. So reforming the self, representing God on earth, arguing with others, like these are all akhlaqi reflections. And each verse will give you a little bit of, it's about a page or 2 long, where it tells you a little bit about the verse, and then in some areas it even refers you to a hadith from the Masumin that connect to the verse. So again, you know how we were trying to connect dots when we're trying to journal. So these are good resources that we can use when we're trying to journal. These are also, the soft copies are available, the digital copies are available online if you want to purchase them at a very like minimal price. academyofislam.com/publications. So again, a good tool to use. And so some of these verses or parts of verses that are mentioned in these reflections have been used in creating these Quranic snapshots. So just give me a second again. I'm going to try and share the video with you.
Illustrated reflections on an ayah a day, and a structure to support your own Quran journaling.
No, we can't see it yet.
Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Let me just share it again. The screen. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Snapshots, illustrated reflections on an ayah a day, and a structure to support your own Quran journaling. We're on just 10. We've reached a third of the way through, alhamdulillah. Today's verse is from Surah Tawbah, ayah 40. Inna Allaha ma'ana. Indeed, Allah is with us. Can you picture the last time you had to do something new or nerve-wracking? Even if it was something like taking a note to the head teacher and preferring to have a friend come with you, or having to give a talk in public and searching for a friendly face in the audience. Whatever the uncomfortable situation you're picturing, imagine we have the ultimate friend with us all the time. For anything we go through, Allah is always with us. The words in this verse are actually from our Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at a time when his enemies were searching for him, wanting to kill him. The Holy Prophet and another companion with him took refuge in a cave. While there, the other man became extremely anxious and worried, for if they were found, they'd have been killed. But the Holy Prophet says to him, "Don't be sad, Allah is with us." The rest of the verse goes on to say how Allah sent down his sakina, his peace and tranquility on the Holy Prophet and gave him strength and success. You may have heard about the rest of that event. Allah sent a spider to spin a web and a bird to build a nest at the entrance of the cave. When the enemies of the Holy Prophet approached the web and nest undisturbed, they didn't bother to go in. What an incredible miracle! And what incredible trust and faith the Holy Prophet had. At a time when his life was in danger, and it seems like to us there was nowhere to hide, the Prophet remains completely unalarmed and calm and says, Allah is with us. Remembering this verse in times of stress or uncertainty can be a real comfort. Allah is with us. Let's count some of the key words to help us remember and recall this passage. Since this is such a short phrase, I've picked just one. Ma'a, meaning with. Ma'ana, like in this verse with the added na, just means with us. Having little doodles helps us to remember the words better. You can choose any image that helps you. I've got a little person with a positive force field around them, representing how Allah is with us. Lay yours out however you like. I record the juz number as a title at the top, and I like to write the verse in both Arabic and English. Down here I've got our keywords to help me remember the verse. The most important part, I think, is a space for you to write your own reflection on the verse, what it means to you. And the intention part is for our own personal takeaway, a practical step we can make to apply this verse. Maybe we can learn to recite this verse when we're feeling scared or alone. Maybe we can use it to help us feel calm in times of stress. So go ahead and jot down today's passage however you like, remembering to put in the key words and little doodles to help you make it easier to remember. It would be amazing if we could use this space to inspire each other. Share your Quranic notes in the comments below, and inshallah, we can all learn together.
Again, this is great. So it kind of ties in with our theme, like Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You know, when we did the webinar, I think Sabra had mentioned that it would be nice to have something specific to COVID-19, right? So again, right here we've in today's session, I think we've picked 3 gems already from the Quran, right? Like Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ from Surah Hadith, and then لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. 940. So again, I'd mentioned it in that webinar that how to make personal connections with verses sometimes. So when the clock reads 940, recite this. لَا تَحْزَنْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا. Right? You're making a personal connection. You're reiterating the verse of the Quran in your mind. And it just, again, brings it all together that no matter where we are, us as believers, we have these gems to keep us strong during these times. Ali Abbas has noticed that what a coincidence that this particular video had 313 views. Thank you so much for pointing it out. Definitely God's plan, I would say. And, you feel that force of Allah and the force of our Imam, inshallah, with us during the nights of Qadr. Okay. Somebody's asking, who is Islam from the start? It's from us. I don't know personally who they are, but from us, do you mean, is it from a Shia source? I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so. It's somebody in the UK, I think in Birmingham.
Right? Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because they synergize with the Academy's work as well. So yes, okay. So let me go back to sharing what's next. What are we doing next? Okay. Any questions so far? I think, okay, Sabra, we are going to now go over a practical.
Yeah, okay, so each week we've tried to do something very practical to try and bring this Quran study alive. The difficulty here is doing a an entry in your Quran journal does take some time. It isn't as quick as some of the other things. Like we will be able to start, perhaps we might not be able to finish, but the idea that we had is to try and go through this in a quick of a way as possible, is to try and do this by pulling our ideas together of what we have discovered about this ayat, using all the different tools that we have learned so far, going from week 1 all the way to week 3. So using things like Corpus Quran or the Quran search tool to try and pull in which other ayats now link to this. We want to try and look up different hadiths that match up to our ayats for today, and we want to try and use the root words to deepen our understanding of a verse using visualizations. So how do we do this? Like in a very short time span, we've put together a file online that we're going to start working on, and now you can take the same idea and then put it into your physical Quran journaling book. But for the purpose of this class, we're going to do this together online on a Google Doc. I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to ask for your input to start piecing together whatever we can about this verse. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, so I've started it a little bit. I've put in the reference to which ayat we're talking about. We've got Surah Fatiha, ayat 5. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. I've put in the translation that I want. I've put in the translation using Kuli Qurai, and I've pulled in an image. So I've populated it with the root words already. We went through nasta'in as a root word. We didn't do na'budu, but that would be another one that you could look up and find out what the meaning is on a deeper level. So can people start putting into the chat, or you can ask to be unmuted or unmute yourself, and let's pick up on some of the key points that we want to take away from this verse from today. It could be something that Najma has mentioned, or it can be something that you have read in some sort of tafsir. Let's start populating. What can we take away? What are some key points about this verse? And we're going to go ahead and fill that in together.
Some themes that are highlighted within this this whole concept of Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, right? So feel free to share, and we will try and add to the document together, so we have something to to take with us if we were to start journaling using this verse. Yeah. So Allah helps us in every situation. Okay. Thank you.
So the theme of it, obedience.
Mm-hmm. Trust. Thank you.
I personally love this point that Najma brought out about how Allah spends the first few ayats of Surah Fatiha talking about himself in such an exalted, magnificent way. And then right away, when it's our turn now to speak, he teaches us to speak to him as if he's close to us. Iyaka na'budu. So that's a key point that I really like to think about this verse.
Okay, there's more coming up. Sabra, seek to him alone, right? So we're seeking help from him alone. He's always with us, and we must trust him even in the most dire situations. Right? Allah, the ultimate power. Amar is asking, are we going to use the tools that you asked us to bring, like the colors and the translation Quran? So yeah, translation Quran we've already been using to compare translations. So as Sabra is putting this thing down, if you want to create a page in your journal, you can start using your colored pens and markers and start writing. That's why we showed you that video from the Quranic snapshots to just give you a bit of a sense of what you can kind of illustrate and write down. You can start writing down your title of the verse. Okay, there's lots of things coming in. Allah guides us, bend in the act of worship and see both aspects, our shortcomings as we seek and his all-sufficient power as his attribute. Yes, thank you so much, Fatima. Definitely, we realize our insignificance and we're humbled in front of Allah, right? And we've actually gone through that practical exercise through the Munajat of Imam Ali and through many of the Amals during the theme of Tawheed. We should only rely on him, yes. See, Sabra has put that. Being an Abd involves ultimate humility. Sabra, you've put that. Yes, Tawheed. Okay, all right. Worship only him, unity of worship and action. Yes, thank you, Famida.
Okay, I'm not gonna fill in everything. You guys get the idea. You can start to choose what you want to put into your entry of this verse. Do we want to move on now to connecting it to other verses? Najma?
Sure, there's many interesting comments still coming up.
Yeah.
Testing your trust when he takes away some of your blessings. Like with Prophet Ayub, I'm guessing. If you trust him, you get your twice as many blessings. Yeah, Prophet Ayub.
Yeah.
Imam Sadiq's Hadith, yes. If you want to share the Hadith, we can put the Hadith down there. Undoubtedly in the remembrance, yes. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub, Surah Ra'ad, verse number 28. So again, that could be a connecting verse that we can add. So 1328, Sabira.
Okay.
Is connecting verse, right? You have here Ud'uni astajib lakum. Thank you.
I just started with one. I thought we could continue populating it. I've just added in another section just because of what's been coming up in the chat. I've just put in a new section called connections. So it's not connecting to a verse in particular, but just making other connections. This idea of connecting to the story of Prophet Ayub. When you rely on,
like when you put all the brains together and everybody starts to give their input. It's nice. That's why it's nice to have like these small groups that can sit and work together and create a masterpiece. verily above every act of worship is an even better act of worship and love for us. So this is a hadith that Marzia has shared. Sabra, I'm not sure if you're able to copy and paste onto the document.
I tried that before and it didn't work. But
it didn't work. Okay, she's given Mizan al-Hikmah Hadith 4591.
Let me try it again.
Hadith database is something that we can use to search up this hadith, right? Like there's so many hadith that come up. Yes, connected to the dua of Prophet Yunus. So in the connections, Sabra, we can put connections to the dua of Prophet Yunus. So yes, somewhere you used the hadith database. Great. So you can use your devices to search up, right? Like a connecting hadith that goes with it, a connecting verse based on theme. So it doesn't even have to be based on the root word. Now you see how we are like extending it more to looking for verses in the Quran that have similar themes, right? Like a couple of them that we mentioned before, and like how everybody's bringing in everything. Great. And they're connecting verses. So it's in the middle of the verse where it says, Allah bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Zoha is asking, just wanted to ask if we have any recording. Are you referring to the recordings? Yes, these sessions are recorded and they are put up in the Academy's website. So the past recordings of the past couple of weeks are available there as well. Okay, what else do we have on this one, Sabra?
I'm trying to keep up with populating it.
Maybe we could just put the reference numbers, yeah, of the surahs.
Sounds good. Let's finish this one.
Mm-hmm. Would you have any other sheets like this? Looks really interesting. So again, this is something that we're just, starting out, and then we hope that you will continue yourselves, right? Like we're showing you the tools. So yes, if before you start putting things in your journal, if you want to have like create like a sketch, this is something that you can start out with. So the way Sabra has put like the verse and then the connections and then the connecting verse. So you could have these titles for yourself. And again, everybody does it differently, right? So you may be somebody who wants to keep it simple and not have too many things. And then you have someone like me that wants it all, So you could create something like this. These are just like basic guidelines on how and what to include in your journals. Again, the possibilities are endless. You could be somebody who is putting personal journaling in it, and we will share. I don't know how much time we have left. We're almost out of time. We will share some of the other creative ideas on journaling very soon with you. But again, you can decide to have your own personal, account of what happened in your life, for example, and you're connecting it to all these, right? So, like everybody has their own little, diary or journal that they want to pour out their hearts. So it might be something that happened that was not pleasant, but then you sought help from the Quran and how it helped you. And then, years down the road, you can go back, read, and see what is it that helped you. So absolutely, you can use this as one of your samples and then add on to it as best as you can. Okay. Right. Connect to an instance in your life. Okay. So right now we're supposed to look at an English Quran and find some interesting words we write in our journal. Yes. Sorry, Amar, you're confused. So to start out with, you could either choose the verse, the part of the verse that we decided, like we opened with, right? Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Okay, step by step. And then we picked the word nasta'in, seeking help from Allah. So that could be, you know how in the Quranic snapshots, she mentioned a key word. So maybe you could have a key word within that page of your journal where you're putting that as your keyword. And then you're starting to put your reflection. Maybe you could put a reflection of when was it that you sought help from Allah? When was like your most dire moment and situation where you really needed to seek help from Allah, like you were stuck somewhere, maybe when you were writing an exam or a test or something, right? So you could put that reflection in. I hope that's helpful, Amar. Last lesson, you guys mentioned a few ayats we could illustrate, and I did a little sketch of colorful mountains for the ayah of Surah Fatir. Great, thank you very much, Zainab, and hopefully we will be able to, you can share your illustrations by emailing Ali Publications, and we will try to share some of those illustrations on our Facebook page, on the Academy's Facebook page. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Connecting Hadith, Muhammad Raza, ask me before you lose me, Imam Ali says. Great. You get it, Amar? Awesome. Any website to find authentic Hadith? All right, so if you go back to our last week's recording, Muhammad Mujtaba, you will see that we walked you through the Hadith database, as well as there were some other links to Hadith websites that were mentioned. Okay, where you will get authentic Hadith. Great, thank you. Okay.
Zainab's asking for that email address again, where she should send her images to.
Ali Publications 786. So the email that you get from when you register, right? For this course. Admin, please check if I have it correct. Oh, sorry, I think it was sent privately. Just let me send a private message. Okay.
So reflection section, this is going to be a very personal area of how you want to personally connect to this verse. And then direction, going forward, like taking what you have now discovered and reminded yourself about through your study of this verse. What do you want to do? How do you want to take this forward? Is there some direction you want to take this forward? So we can, if anybody has any ideas that they want to help populate this area.
All right. So should we go and share some of those other creative ideas? I think we have about 5 minutes left.
Okay. I will just stop sharing this so you can share yours again.
Okay, so this was again a hadith that I just put up from, I pulled up from the hadith database. Seek God for help. Whenever you notice a change in the blessings granted to you, your children, or your family, I will guarantee that if you do so, God will help you and you can get whatever you want. I thought it was so apt for our current situation, right? So we noticed a change. I mean, we got so many more blessings, but we definitely experienced a change in some of the blessings that we otherwise take for granted, going to mosque, getting together with community, going to school, going for sports, etc., right? Whenever you notice that, Allah, Imam Bakr says, seek God for help. I will guarantee that if you do so, He will help you and you will get whatever you want. I thought it was very powerful. So again, something to connect to our verse and add to the journal. It's a choice, but you can come up with so many other verses. So So other creative ideas. Yes, Sabra, you wanted to add
I
something?
just wanted to say, I hope people can start to see how when you start to dig into this on your own, using all these different tools and starting to write things down, how a verse that we recite every day that feels like, oh, we already know that, how much depth there is to it and how much we ourselves can dig in deeper. Like simple everyday people who don't have any other, background in any formal Islamic study, like we can all do this. And I just wanted to highlight that and hope that you're able to see how rich our study of the Quran can be.
Anyone can do it. Yes.
Anyone can do it.
Mantra. Anyone can do it. All right. So we will quickly go over some of the other creative ideas. So our photo books from vacations, right? So if we're creating a photo book and we went on a vacation where we saw so many of Allah's creation, for example, maybe perhaps we can add some verses of the Quran or a Hadith to those photo books, right? So we are, it's a form of an extended journaling, for example. Milestone birthday gifts. So if you're trying to give a birthday gift to somebody, who's celebrating a milestone, so turning 40 or 50, you could choose maybe, 40 verses from the Quran or something to do with 40 hadith, and then have some verses of the Quran that remind you, that make connections to those, right? So some nice spiritual gifts. Sabra, you want to tell them a little bit about birthday parties, Quran birthday parties that Sabra hosts?
I like the idea of tying everything that we already do and pulling that back into connecting to the Quran. So I recently held a few different birthday parties where you pick an ayat that the birthday party is going to be linked to, and then you have all your activities or whatever else you're planning to do during that party connected to the ayat. And it just, it's something we're already going to be doing anyways, but now to link it back to Quran, I think there's no better way to celebrate our birthdays. So I just wanted to give that as an idea. Other ideas are blog posts, trying to connect everyday things that go on in our journeys and connect them to ayats. And we just wanted to give different ideas. So blogging about it and then tying in your ayats or your hadiths all into that is also another idea.
Yeah, and then storyboards. I know people who create nice storyboards, those felt storyboards or regular storyboards, where you are, taking a verse or a story from the Quran and creating almost like a comic strip or, a storyboard, which also makes it more visual and interesting. Digital journaling and sketch notes. So Sister Shaheen from Nairobi shared some of her work with us that I'm just gonna, show you. I think she had shared some last week with us, and then she kindly forwarded some of her pictures of hers and her children. And this is done digitally through Sketchbook. And then this is something that was done by her daughter, Fatima, about me. Right, Surah Nahl, and then this was done by her son Hussein, which is also again same Surah Nahl but illustrated in a different way. So it's nice to see how each individual will come up with the same topic but with different different creations. And then we have Sakina Jaffer from Toronto who shared this, where she's put in the journey of Prophet Musa and Khidr. So from the Quran, Surah Kahf has the whole story, and then she's put in all these creative little things in her journal. It's so nice and colorful and blingy, and it makes it more appealing. So when you're reading the story and you're trying to get the messages from it, here's a verse of the Quran or a passage from the Quran that is now recreated in your own personal journal. So okay. I hope that's helpful. Sabra, do we have any questions? I know we're
Okay, there's a question to give some more details about the birthday party, so the example ayat. So for my daughter's birthday party, we did the ayat of Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. Indeed, the believers are brothers, and I translated it as sisters for her. And she had her friends come over, and we had that ayat as the theme, and then we did things like you know, those friendship kind of bracelets, like sister bracelets, or whatever it was that we were doing. We were tying it back, and we talked about how Allah gives us like she doesn't have a sister herself, like she's got brothers, but I tied it into the fact that Allah had still given her sisters, that the believing friends are her sisters. And so just it's a simple idea, because I was already gonna hold a small birthday party for her and have her friends come over, but instead we tied it in with an ayat. So that's an example.
There's more questions here. You're free to stay for those of you who want the questions answered. For direction, an idea how to apply this verse to my daily life when I'm triggered. So this is a suggestion, like, you know, for the direction bit.
Yes.
Okay. Could you please say again, you mentioned something about populating the database?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that question.
I think she's referring to so the Google Doc that you have created. It's something that can be, you know, shared, and I'm guessing, I don't know, unless you want to unmute yourself, Fatima, if you're still here, and explain to us your question. I write kids stories on Quran for my madrasa Quran journal project. I want more ideas on ayats which are easier for kids to understand. Sure, you can contact us. Again, write to Ali Publications, and we will try and help you. Like I've mentioned in past sessions as well, that we have the Quran Appreciation Program that runs here in Toronto and a few other cities, which is done by the Academy, and we have different teams that we work with. I don't know if you were here in the beginning, right from the beginning. So Quranic reflections have short verses, right? Even the Quranic snapshots have been done very nicely. So you can maybe seek some inspiration from there.
I really like this set of books that are good for kids to connect to different ayats. They're like just portions of ayats. So I think they have some of the resources online. I'm not sure where. This one is Lessons from the Quran. It's an Ansarian publication. Najma, do you know where people can find this? But I find those are
writing to Ansarian, or depending where you are. Usually most places like our Tabligh store, I believe, used to carry it.
They used to. I don't know that they do anymore, but I do know that they have some of their stuff scanned and online as a coloring page.
How we bring, you know, how everyone comes together. So Ali Abbas, one of the attendees, I think he's not here anymore. He's already left, but he has been with us every week. So he's a big boy now. But for his first birthday, his mom had prepared this. So basically the same, you know, the book that you showed.
Yes.
These cards from it. I don't know if you guys can see them.
Let's see.
So again, having each of these cards with verses of the Quran and then a picture, like really short, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and do good to your parents. إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا, like really interesting.
Oh, can you sorry, he had gone to listen to Sayyid Ammar. Can you show him? I don't think he even remembers.
He even remembers? Your mom did this for your first birthday, and it was really nicely put in this, and I have it in my Quran drawer. So I have a drawer that has everything to do with the Quran, and this one still sits in it, and I do refer to it. So there's all these cards in it. Beautiful. Make sure you say thank you to your mom. Okay, so lots of creative things that we can do with the Quran and the Quranic verses. I've done a digital drawing using an app called Sketches. Can we do some comic strips?
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Samira.
Oh, no, I was just going to answer this question about that populating the database. It is what Najma said. I was asking us to work on that document I had, but because we ran out of time, that's why we stopped. But feel free to continue that project on your own.
Can we do some comic strips? Yes, like in a story form. You can use like some stories from the Quran and come up with it.
And there's a suggestion for kids again, and Kisa Kids has a series called The Guiding Light. So that's a great resource too.
Zoha, have we answered all your questions, Zoha? Okay, you're from India. Quranic Reflections. I see only volume 3 as digital on website. Is there for the other 2, please? So, admin, would you be able to assist with that since you deal with the publications? I'm not sure if the other 2 are also available digitally. Okay. All right. So thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful journey. Thank you for joining us. And if we've missed out anything, or if we said anything, or we've missed a question that we did not answer, we ask you to humbly forgive us. And inshallah, you'll be able to share some of your creative works with us. And so we can learn from you as well, right? Because sometimes you start something and then, so many brains come together and put in give us their inputs, and we learn so much. Right, Sabira?
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us and for sharing. There's so many people who have shared what they've been up to, so thank you so much. We've learned a lot also, and we're really happy that you guys were able to join us.
And you can take it forward. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with us either through the Academy's Facebook page. You can message us and we will try and get back to you, or by emailing us. And like I said, if you have any pictures of your works that you would like us to display on the Academy's Facebook page, do share them with us and we will try to share a few of them. Okay, and any last questions? I also want to thank the admin for always being there to make sure everything is running smoothly, having all our email communications sent out, and Jazakallah to all of you.
And yes, this is the last of the 3 sessions that we had planned.
Yes, because most likely next Sunday will be Eid. Or Monday, inshallah, hopefully, but
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for the opportunity.
Jazakallah, and please keep us in your du'as, and we will pray for you and your families as well during these great remaining nights of Shahr Ramadan, inshallah. Any questions?